Good afternoon. I'd like to call to order the June 10th, 2015 meeting of the Portland Development Commission.
Chair
Gina,
Kelly?
call the roll. I'm here.
Commissioner Dixon?
Here.
Commissioner Edlin?
Here.
Commissioner Moelis?
Here.
Commissioner Wilhoit? Absent.
Commissioner reports. Shall we start with Commissioner Moelis? Is that all right?
Sure, I'll be very brief. A few weeks ago, attended it was the Portland Business Alliance annual breakfast at the Convention Center, which is always a good event. And I've just been spending a lot of time in Salem with the legislature in session and still part of a group that's working real hard, hoping for a transportation package. So, thank you.
Commissioner?
I also attended the PBA annual meeting and was very happy to see the keynote being a female speaker, Tamara Ledgren. So, and she was really a phenomenal keynote. So that was an impressive meeting to attend. I also last week was able to present at the 2015 Better Bricks Award, where PDC was the presenting sponsor. And so I was able to give out awards to all these phenomenal projects and financial structures that were developed that were the best of 2015. And so looking forward to next year, maybe seeing a few more women and other companies represented in those categories of receiving the awards. But it was a great and well-attended event.
Thank you. Commissioner Edlin?
So attended a meeting with De La Salle, along with Tom, participated in the St. Mary's event downtown. Met with the I Have a Dream folks to learn more about what they're doing. Attended the PNCA Gala and the PICA Tada Ball. Attended ULI meeting in Houston, the BTA annual event, and the Eco Trust quarterly meeting.
There were some gardens that we visited too out in southeast Portland.
That's right.
Yeah.
You can talk about it.
What's the name of those gardens? Okay, two old guys are spacing the name of the gardens out on 122nd.
I mean, Leach Botanical Garden?
Thank you.
Yeah.
So Mark and I actually visited out there and got a tour and learned about PDC's involvement in that prospective project, and it was pretty interesting. I also was on a panel with Commissioner Edlin at St. Mary's, which I think was I'm sure got a lot of good feedback. I was told that our panel, of all the panels that day, was the best one. And it must have been, your star role. Let me see. Today we, Mr. Quinton and I had lunch with some people from Vancouver who just wanted to, involved in development over there and just wanted to learn more about what PDC was doing, whether they might be able to apply. And it was actually the grandson, Richard Keller, a grandson of one of our former chairs way back when, and everybody knows the Keller Auditorium. And
Founding chair, Ira Keller, yes.
Yeah. So a bit of history that I guess we dipped into there.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's my report. Patrick.
Well, thank you, Chair Kelly. Good afternoon, commissioners. And I was out of the country last week, traveling in China on both a kind of trade and investment trip that we planned, and had a lot of meetings, both with potential investors, but also had a chance to meet with a number of different mayors in both outside of Beijing and as well as outside of Shanghai. So I missed a lot of the festivities last week, and particularly I missed Commissioner Dixon hosting the Better Bricks Award. So I heard great reports of your emceeing there, and so I appreciate you representing us, and heard a lot about the different awardees, and in particular, it was nice to see the Mercado get recognized and our partnership with Hacienda on that. But this is our second year in sponsoring that event, and we'd love suggestions on projects to nominate for next year. So truly, if you know of projects and other and professionals in the real estate industry have done good work, we'd love to put their names up for recognition that next year. Over the past month, a number of kind of nice celebrations. The most significant one was that I think Chair Kelly and I were together on the first ride of the new Orange Line, TriMet's, the Max Line, to all the way for the whole 7-mile stretch to downtown Milwaukee. And the first, I think the train has crossed the bridge, but I'm not sure that there was a full train crossing the bridge. So we got to cross the Tillicum Crossing Bridge for the first time. That was a great event. They actually had 2 different trains of 4 cars full of people and had a nice ceremony in Milwaukee. The streetcar will be doing the same thing, I think, tomorrow. They're having their first crossing tomorrow. So it's nice to see all these things come together, projects that many of us have been working on for a long time, and that, we're about to take a look at the proposed development agreement with ZRZ Realty today, and investments like their investments in streetcar and Max are really lay the foundation for the development that will hopefully happen down in that part of South Waterfront. We hosted, along with our partners at the Port and Business Oregon and the Oregon Consular Corps, the annual Celebrate Trade event that was on May 18th. And so this is an annual event in which we recognize companies and organizations that promote both international trade and investment in Portland and Oregon. So we had a variety of local companies were recognized, including Simple, one of our local software companies, which was purchased over the past year by BBVA, it's the Spanish banking company, and so that's a great example of companies that are attracting foreign investment. We have a lot of people who do work on that event, but also on our international work throughout the year, including Mitsu Yamazaki, Michael Gerton, Chris Harder, but also folks who help directly with the event, like Melanie Rund and Ann Mangan and John Cardenas. We film all of the videos that are featured at that event, and John Cardenas does that work along with Ann Mangan. I think, as you know, we issued, at the end of last month, we issued the request for statements of interest for potential new office space for PDC. So that RFI is outstanding right now, and responses are due at the end of July. So just want to kind of spread the word on that. There's you can go to our website and find the RFI, but basically anyone who's looking for tenants, looking for development partners to spur some kind of an office development project in one of our neighborhoods, one of our urban renewal neighborhoods, should submit a letter of interest so that we can begin conversations about whether it's a fit for what PDC is doing. One of our athletic and outdoor companies, but also a partner on some of the work we're doing around workforce, a organization called Pencil Footwear Design Academy, located right here in Old Town. They've just announced a new 4-week course once again to bring a more diverse workforce into the footwear industry. So that course runs basically the month of August 3rd through the 28th. Their website is Pencil. They're spelled PENSOLE, like the sole of a shoe, pencil.com. That's where you can go to apply, and PDC is working with our partners in the athletic and outdoor industry to provide scholarships for participants in that program. So people should definitely be encouraged to apply. Sue Ball on our staff is responsible for that work. At the end of May, one of our Startup Challenge winners, a company called noappfee.com, they did their rollout. This is a software company that's trying to make it easier to find apartments and rent apartments in the market. And CEO there is Tyrone Poole, and he's an extraordinary entrepreneur and has really done a lot to promote this young company. But they had a big rollout event on the 26th. I think the mayor participated in that. Speaking of our startup challenge, it was in the news that we received, and you'll hear the budget update later from Tony Barnes, but we now have $500,000 in the city general fund budget as the first initial capital into a proposed inclusive startup fund, a fund to provide seed stage funding for entrepreneurs of color and women entrepreneurs to start up higher growth companies. So that's the first stage. I actually am going after this meeting tonight to testify at the county's budget hearing, because the county has proposed, Commissioner Loretta Smith has proposed matching our $500,000 so that we can start with $1 million in the fund. So I'll go there to make the case for that investment. Chris Harder has been leading this initiative, but I think what you hear from Tony is that in order to get the $500,000 in the city general fund budget, we swapped out some TIF eligible expenditures that were in the mayor's proposed budget, and folks like Lisa Obloff and Tony Barnes were really instrumental in identifying those line items in the city's budget that we could take on through our TIF and get general fund that can be used for things like investing in startups. So once again, another great team effort. I don't know if you've flown on Alaska Airlines, but if you do, you take a look at the June issue of their magazine. A bunch of our Startup Challenge companies are featured in that magazine. Yellowscope, which was in our last Startup Challenge, Seamus Golf, which was in our first Startup Challenge, Raft Syrups in our most recent Startup Challenge, and then Globe Sherpa, not one of our Startup Challenge companies, but they've been a company we've worked with for a few years now. They provide the mobile ticketing app for TriMet. They were all featured in Alaska Airlines, getting some good press. And then a couple just upcoming things. Well, so the Lentz International Farmers Market kicked off. That started on the 31st of May. And so that's now open throughout the rest of the summer. And the International Farmers Market operates right in Lentz Town Center on one of our properties right next door to the goat